chew bubblegum, recorded from a secret location in the city that moves mountains.
Greetings.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick, and I'm all out of bubblegum, baby.
How you going today? Or how are you doing today, Dirty Dan? Man, it's been a long time. I am out of practice. You doing okay, Dirty Dan?
It's been a long time. It's been a long day.
Yes, it has. It's been a long couple of weeks.
Yes.
We also have a very special guest sitting in with us this show. Ladies and gentlemen, Seth Emberkey of Seth's Daily Podcast. Seth, I want to start out by saying thank you very much for narrating last week's first flashback Here to Chew Bubblegum radio show.
I definitely appreciate you guys letting me do that, man. It's definitely an honor.
And, Seth did that. And like a 20-minute notice, Dirty Dan. Seth is like we've said. Well, we're lucky to know him. We're either luckier to have him on the show, and we consider him family.
Yes, definitely.
So,
family too.
Dirty Dan, how's things going your way?
Hurry up and wait, buddy.
Hurry up and wait. Well,
and freaking wait.
Well, for those of you who have a TikTok account. I have a personal TikTok account now, and you can add me or follow me or whatever at Goose from HTCBG. That's my username, Goose from HTCBG. And earlier today, I was on there. A few minutes before you guys joined in, and I was just scrolling through, and there was this guy doing a live, and he was talking about how he got a phone call today, and somebody asked him a question. He was explaining about some stuff in the background. Well, I just was trying to be funny, and I said, was the phone call about your car's extended warranty? And when he came back and saw that, and people were laughing like underneath that, he automatically blocked and kicked me out of his live because I asked that one simple question.
I'd just like to say as a disclaimer that being a mechanic who is contracted by an aftermarket extended warranty company, I don't appreciate that, sir.
But it was funny, right, Seth? You think that's funny?
Yeah.
Oh man, we have had a blast. The Office edition of Here to Chew Bubblegum is up, as well as the new episode 56. But if you're a fan of The Office, be sure to check out Here to Chew Bubblegum podcast, episode number 55. I'm not going to reveal who won the Office trivia game.
I think we already know that. It wasn't me.
Well, I came in second. I actually scored a lot more than you, so I'm proud of myself.
Not that much more.
Yes, I did. And the questions that I was asking was about the trivia show, not based on something else that somebody else did, the way that you said.
I asked one question.
No.
That was it was related to the show, not about the show. One question.
Yeah, but that didn't count.
One question.
We're going to start out with some listener email. Dirty Dan, we'll let you go first.
Man, what's listener email? It feels like it's been so long.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we got Eddie writing in. It says, hey, guys, I'm a new listener, and it's my first time writing in. Welcome, Eddie. I discovered your show on my local radio station. First, let me say that I love the opening theme song. Who mixed audio and sound effects in it? Second, with you being from Kentucky, too, have you ever thought about going on a tour of Kentucky, doing live shows or recording them in different locations? Roswell.
Well,
a first timer. Good job writing Roswell. I guess he has been listening, but he's not too new.
Right.
And Goose, I think that first question is for you.
Yes, I was the one that actually mixed the audio and added the sound effects and stuff in. And thank you very much for that, Eddie. It took about 5 minutes for me to do that. And I sent it to some people to get their reaction. And because it's like a minute and a half long. And they're like, you need to chop some off at the end of it. I'm like, well, I purposely left it long so I can fade it out as we, say our openings.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that show was yesterday, my friend. As far as a tour of Kentucky, we have actually thought about doing that. Dirtydan had a place a few months ago that he'd mentioned that would let us come in and do some recording, and we'll definitely do that next year. Hopefully, around the first of the year, we're going to tweak the format just a little bit on the podcast and radio shows. And I think we're up to episode 7 on the Midweek Moment, the video shows in season 2. You will be getting 23 episodes of those for season 2. And we'll be doing some more things coming up. And that's a great idea. Something we definitely are looking forward to doing. Yes, go ahead, sir.
With the acquisition of, hopefully sooner rather than later, the property, having that nice big open field, we could do a certain show inspired UFO stargazing.
Oh, you're talking about Demi Lovato show. I
didn't mention the name.
We
didn't mention the name.
We could definitely do that. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because in our podcast email backlogged, there is one guy that mentions the Demi Lovato show. And I will save that one for you. Yes, I will save that one for you. I'm going to take the next one, and this is from Terry. Hello, Goose, Dirtydan, and the rest of the gang. I hope that all is going well. I wanted to recommend you guys looking into and doing a segment on some of the strange and unusual events from Western Kentucky. There's some fascinating ones in that area. Keep the ear candy coming, Roswell. Thank you very much, Terry. We will definitely do that. Seth, you're going to be reading email with us this week, and brother, I'm sorry. I just assigned those at random, and I think that you have 2 of the longest emails this week for your 2.
He does it to Rebecca too, Seth. So don't feel too bad.
I didn't do it on purpose, Seth.
And then I have the shortest one.
But that one time wasn't short.
No, it was not. And finally, he stopped telling people, if you write 13 pages, we'll read it. No, we won't. He may read it, but it will not make it into the show. So, Seth, go ahead.
This is from Lucas. Hello, guys. I wanted to share a story with you that recently happened to me. It was September the 8th, and I was in my local town waiting for a bus. I had my headphones on, listening to some music, and that's when this woman appeared in front of me. I really wasn't paying attention and thought that someone must have dropped her off. Anyway, she stared and was talking to me. I took my headphones off, and she asked, "Are you waiting for the bus?" I said, "Yeah." I told her, "If you're waiting for the bus too, we've got another 15 minutes before the next one." She said, "Okay, I'm going to walk around and stretch my legs." She walked and never left my line of sight. The bus arrives, and I see her walking back. Suddenly, she just disappeared. Poof, gone. Nowhere to be seen. I asked the guy in front of me if he saw that lady disappear, and he replied, "What lady?" I know what I saw, and I've replayed it over and over in my head. Have you two or anyone in your audience ever experienced anything like that? If so, please share and tell me how you dealt with it. Thank you for taking the time to read my email, Lucas.
Well, Seth, I'll start with you. Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Yeah, I've seen a mist before that actually went through my hand when I was taking pictures and actually got it on camera.
Wow.
And weird enough, the picture of the mist actually had a face in the mist, and it actually went through my hand. So, yeah,
wow.
I've experienced.
That's cool. What about you, Dirtydan?
Well, I'll stay serious with this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I've actually had a similar experience to Seth.
Okay. No, I have not. I've not had. I mean, I have saw like clowns run across the roadway or elephants if I've been really sleepy driving of a night, but that's just my mind playing tricks on me. I've never saw anything like that.
I say I've taken a couple trips far out on the other side of the Rockies from PA before and whatnot. And there have been some times where I shouldn't have been driving, then I saw some stuff that definitely wasn't there.
Yeah. Same with me. Thanks for writing in, Lucas. If anybody in our audience has had anything like that happen to them, we're going to tell you just in a few moments how to contact us. But thank you very much, Lucas.
If they're comfortable.
Yes. Well, I mean, if they email, they'll be comfortable. You don't have to give your name if you don't want to. So, Dirtydan, next one's yours.
All right, buckle up, guys. It's a long one.
Okay.
We got Jerry writing in. It says, Goose and Dirtydan, I know this has been said before, but we need more story segments and maybe a Hunt for Bigfoot episode. Roswell.
Well, hey, you got the new property coming up. Maybe after we stargaze and try to contact aliens, we can go hunt for Bigfoot.
Well, you'll be trying to contact aliens with them.
Maybe we could hunt for Bigfoot, get him, and then he come out and do the laser pointer for us to try to get the UFOs.
I mean, I do have a laser pointer that requires a key to turn on. So,
Do you really?
yeah, I had to sign a couple waivers for that one.
Okay. Well, good. I know what I'm playing with. It wasn't me. I didn't sign a waiver.
You want a popsicle?
Last name Sloan says, how did you guys get on Pandora? I'm impressed. At first, I thought you were pulling my leg. Then I searched on my account and found your show. Way to go. It's great to see someone from our area on Pandora. That proves to me that no matter where you're from, you can succeed if you work hard at it. Happy holidays in Roswell, my friends. Well, thank you very much, last name Sloan, for writing in. And I guess we do joke and cut up some, but when it comes to the show, we are serious, even though we talk about UFOs, time travel, other dimensions, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, strange and unusual topics.
And you have me as a co-host.
Yes. But it was all right. If you have a podcast or if you have a band and you want to submit music, you can submit those to iTunes, Spotify, Google. And, once you create things, they'll pretty much play them. For Pandora, it was a little bit different. I had to submit a link to the show. I had to answer a bunch of questions. And then once we were approved, I had to sign a contract with Pandora, but we still own the rights to the show, the so-and-so. That's why a lot of the music that we play on the show, if it's not independent bands, it's cover music. That way we can play that, and we're legal that way, and the indie bands that we do play are aware and do give us permission to play their music. Like, we can use real music on the radio show, but we in turn upload them on YouTube as well. That's where it get you. If you've got something on there, like I even played the Mamas and the Papas. The Mamas and the Papas. What's the song? California Dreamin'. Came out in the late 60s. They flagged that on the radio show once and took it out. A song that old. And but thank you very much again, last name Sloan. And, no matter where you live at or where you are from, do not let that limit you. If you see something that you want or you want to do, go for it. Because
legally,
you can never give up on pursuing your dreams and so forth. And Seth, the last one is for you, but it's only like 7 or 8 lines, so it's not as big as the other one. That's what she said. Oh,
we ought to have a segment called Motivation with Goose.
Really? Are you totally being serious, or are you just...
I am, because that last little click just inspired me.
Well, thank you very much, man. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart,
I know you do. I'm watching it. It's very heartfelt. I feel warm and fuzzy, and I feel a tear coming on. I'm choking back.
Oh, well, what? Please don't cry until we take a break, and then you can cry during the break.
Okay.
Seth?
Maybe you got a motivational speaker.
Go ahead, Seth.
Right. Okay, this is from a unknown researcher. Hello, here's your Bubblegum. This week I'll be researching different kinds of symbols and crop circles. And if anyone would like to join me, please let me know. I am absolutely on a quest to get UFO news and unknown true facts. I'm making a commitment to you guys that I will totally be committed. I will be totally committed to your show, and will share my feelings via email. For anyone that wants to join me, you can email me at uforesearcher@ymail.com.
That's it. Thank you very much, Seth. I wanted to thank everyone for sending an email in. You can always call, text, or leave a voicemail by calling 606-373-3396, or how can they email Dirty Dan?
Well, if they get the fancy to, they can email in to goose@heretoshootbubblegum.com, dirtydan@heretoshootbubblegum.com, Rebecca@heretoshootbubblegum.com. Or you can email into the show, Ned or Elliot, at heretoshootbubblegum@yahoo.com.
You are correct. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with segment 1 in just a few moments. So stay tuned. You are listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum with Goose, Dirtydan, and special guest Seth Emberkey. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum, recorded from a secret location in the city that moves mountains.
Are you a horror movie fan? Yeah, I dig horror movies. Are you searching for a great internet horror talk radio show to listen to? Why, sure, that sounds quite spiffy. Then you need to tune into deadpit.com. It's the original horror talk radio show. Dead Pit is a show by the fans and for the fans. Uncensored and unbiased opinions are the goal of the show, giving fans honest reviews on new films and vintage classics of the horror genre. Make deadpit.com your #1 horror station destination.
Be sure to check out HereToChewBubblegum.com.
And you're back with Here to Chew Bubblegum. I have my cry break over now.
Well, hey, you know, you can do it. You can do it all night long. I'm motivational speaker.
All right, Rob Schneider, come on.
Oh, Seth, we're going to let you start out segment 1 with a little story for us, and we're going to comment on it and add our input to it.
All right, man. This is actually from the Appalachian UFO Research Society. Junebug from In Dark Places is head of that organization. And this is actually a story out of Pikeville, Kentucky. And here's the story. I wanted to tell someone that I saw something odd in the sky over the industrial park here in Pikeville, Kentucky this morning. I've never seen anything like this before. I was coming up a foggy mountain in Shelby Valley this morning about 8, and I saw this white or silver shape just hovering in the air. It kind of looked like a buoy you would see in a lake. Then it slowly lowered itself behind the trees, and I could see the reflection of the sun on the side of it. It was there, and before I could get my phone out to get a pic, it was gone.
And that one was from back in September, right? Because
I was thinking, isn't that the one you were talking about, Goose?
Yeah,
where you had a buddy go up there?
Yeah, that was Junebug that actually went up there and messaged me and stuff over it. And myself and my son actually went up there about probably a month ago. And there's only one building up there. And hit switchbacks, curvy, going up through it. And it is really spooky, but it is a really, really good place to view stuff. I wish that we'd had more reports on that. But to me, I think that's fascinating. And maybe in a future midweek moment, I may drive up there and show the area where it happened at and so forth. That's and we talked just a little bit yesterday after we got done recording the podcast. Coming up sometime, probably next year, it could be the end of this year, we may have somebody on that has some information about the Paintsville train versus UFO incident, and we're trying to get those on. I'm not going to give anything away. I've already talked to these person. I know what happened and what they saw and what they've told me, and we're going to try to get that guy on the air. Dirtydan, what's your thoughts on the? And we've talked about it before on the Pikeville sighting.
I'm kind of disappointed that they weren't able to find anything up there.
Me too.
Because it wasn't just like one person. Like I saw multiple accounts and multiple stories about that, and we talked about it for several weeks.
Yes, we did.
So
I think we even had somebody else email about it and was telling us.
I think one or two. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to go back and check.
But didn't the Spooky family mention it when they called in on the radio show?
Yes, they did. They did.
So it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
Not as big of a deal as the guy getting messed up in a hotel shooting at aliens where I'm moving to.
No.
Yeah. That hotel is literally 10 minutes away from my house.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Dirty Dan, what do you got for us?
So I've got the mysterious glowing donut UFO that was photographed over Switzerland. This happened on November 8th, and it says a photograph taken on November 8th of a donut UFO has people puzzled. The glowing blue and white object was initially thought by many to be the SpaceX Endeavour capsule, which was returning from the International Space Station, completing its 200-day mission. Even the Daily Mail even included it in a roundup of photos of the craft's return home as it flew over Louisiana and Alabama. Just one problem, though. This is what it actually looked like when viewed in those states, and they have a little bunch of tweeter videos or whatever. And then it says below is an image that was captured by a photographer in Zurich, Switzerland on the same night. And it is not a glowing tic tac,
wow,
like a rocket engine coming in. That is what was captured.
Wow.
And it says those are not the same thing. And in fact, according to Live Science, when the Endeavour capsule splashed down a little after 10:30 p.m. that night, it landed half a world away in the Gulf of Mexico, which more than 5,000 miles or 8,000 kilometers for you non-Americans from Zurich. Any passes of Endeavour over Switzerland prior to landing that night would have been completely in Earth's shadow, i.e. it would not have been illuminated by the sun and not visible whatsoever. Reentry itself was over Mexico and the Gulf of Mexico. So SpaceX stuff pretty much comes down more than comes back in on an orbit.
Right.
It says the deorbit burn prior to reentry was over the Indian Ocean, so it's also not over from Switzerland or visible from Switzerland. Langbrook's best guess is that this donut UFO was really just apparently an out-of-focus image of a bright star. However, Jonathan McDowell, an astrophysicist at the Harvard Smithsonian Center, speculated that the UFO was an upper stage of a rocket re-entering the atmosphere and burning up, but wasn't certain in any way, just grasping for something logical. One thing is certain, though, is that the truth is out there, and nobody knows.
Wow.
That's how the article ends.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, did you see that recent one about all that stuff? The satellite that the Russia blew up to.
That's actually my next article.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to give anything else away. Then we'll be talking about that. Now, the one I'm going to talk about happened a few weeks ago. In early November. I can't remember exactly what date it happened, but I've had this story pulled for a few weeks, and I'm just going to mention this real quick, and I do want to get your guys' opinion on it. QAnon supporters gather in downtown Dallas expecting JFK Jr. to reappear. Some believe the reappearance of John F. Kennedy's son, who died in a plane crash in 1999, will bring
allegedly
the reinstatement of Donald Trump as president. Sources of QAnon believers gathered Thursday afternoon in downtown Dallas in hopes that John F. Kennedy Jr. would appear, hurdling the reinstatement of Donald Trump as president. The supporters first gathered Monday night in downtown Dallas, and at about 1 p.m. Tuesday, there were several hundred people near Daley Plaza, where President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. But guess what, guys? JFK Jr. did not show up. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
That's because it was either NBC or CNN, or maybe both, had pictures of him in the Trump hotel lobby.
What?
Yes, there was an actual article, and I have it saved, so I'll have to go through my files and pull that back out again. I'll send it to you because it was on the book face.
Okay, now is this the older guy that has appeared supposedly at the Trump rallies with the...
No, this looked like a 40-some-year-old JFK Jr.
Okay, but he would be older than that. That was he was like 38 or 39 when he passed away.
I thought he was like 35.
I was thinking he was almost 40.
He looks very good for. It didn't say how old he was. I'm not gonna say he looks like the typical 50-some or 60-some-year-old.
Okay,
he looks like he's in his mid 40s.
Okay, all right. Okay. And we've told a story on the show before, on the podcast show, about how he could have survived.
Because I play devil's advocate there.
And I'm playing devil's advocate as well. I'm not saying, that it's not possible. Anything is possible. But to let QAnon or whatever, whoever told these people to meet there, it was going to happen, it's just sad. And that's all I'm going to say. It is sad. Would it have been great if it would have happened and he popped up? Yes, it would have been, because I don't want to see anybody die. But it is sad that that's all I'm going to say is it's sad. If we talk about this again on the podcast, I may say a little bit more, but I'm just going to say it's sad. So,
well, it's also sad. I've never, I'll say my tangent quick and then I'll get off it.
Okay.
I've never understood the 17 thing. Anything surrounding that. Don't care about it. Never understood it. Never want to do. Because of stuff like that.
Right.
And I don't know if you've seen that guy. I think he was in California, the one that killed his 2 kids.
Yeah. So, yeah. Seth, what's your thoughts on that?
I got to watch what I say about this.
Why?
You're on the radio.
Yeah, definitely got to be careful with you, what I say on this. But all I got to say is Biggie and Tupac are alive.
Now, isn't Tupac? Isn't he supposed to have been spotted in some tropical island? Supposedly,
no. He was seen in Kensington, Philadelphia.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
now,
old guy, beard, you can tell that it would be him in his 60s or so.
Okay.
110 freaking % looks just like the guy. Sounds just like the guy. Knows his songs. Raps just like the guy. So I'm a little, I don't know if Tupac is now transitioning to the new Elvis and we're going to see more impersonators of him. And, maybe Tupac can marry you out in Vegas or something. But,
well, I'm not going to say much else. I don't know that much about Tupac and Biggie.
Have you seen the show Inside Job yet? Like I told you on Netflix.
I don't. No, I've not saw that yet.
Brother, you got to watch those 10 episodes.
Well, I will definitely watch those. I will definitely check those out. But basically, what I'm saying is, you've got somebody that follows somebody online like that, and I can understand having hope and wanting to follow somebody like that. But at the same time, you also have to use your own brain and think about stuff just a little bit before you fall or follow those people. No, I'm not saying it's not fascinating. I've not researched it and fell down the rabbit hole. I have. But as far as me actually going and holding up signs like some of these people were, like Welcome Back JFK Jr., I feel sorry for some of these people.
Yep.
We're going to...
all I can say is the whole 17 thing reminds me a lot of Waco. And I'm done.
Right. There you go. We're going to step away and take a break and have an all-new Mysterious Appalachian Mountains with Seth. Seth is on the show, as a matter of fact. Then when we come back, we're going to be talking about some more stuff. What do you have for us, Dirtydan?
Well, I got that Russian satellite.
What about you, Seth?
I got us some more UFO stories.
Sounds good to me. You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Welcome to the Mysterious Appalachian Mountains with Seth and Earl. How are you doing tonight, Earl?
I'm surviving very well today.
Different way of putting it. Okay, man. This is in Basket, Kentucky. This story is out of the year is 1999. Motorists traveling down Highway 60 seen 2 Bigfoots in a bean field by the side of the road in broad daylight. Both were brownish and gray color and were positioned with their backs towards witnesses. One Bigfoot was squatting down, apparently doing something to the ground, which was obscured by beans. Both were very big, and the road was full of afternoon traffic, with cars both in front of and behind witnesses. He felt sure the other motorists must have seen the creatures as well. None of them felt compelled enough to come forward, however. And yeah, man, I lost the story there for a sec. That's the bad thing about reading the story on a phone. But anyways, man, what is your opinion on that story right there?
Well, you would think that if with that many motorists, if and that somebody would have actually came forward and possibly even had a with their phone had a recording. You would think in it broad daylight.
Yeah.
So you would have to, I would wonder about, why no one didn't, except unless, they was afraid of being ridiculed for it. But if they had, a recording on their phone, then there was their proof.
Yeah. You do hear a lot about Bigfoots hitting the ground and stuff. Possibly a defense tactic is what I've heard from other researchers. Have you heard that as well?
Yeah.
Have you actually heard that from witnesses that they've seen Bigfoot hitting the ground?
No, but I mean, I've heard most of the witnesses that I've, had come to me, they experienced either, something like a growling or stones being tossed at them, that kind of thing.
Wow. And it was kind of saying that it was like two different colors like one Bigfoot was. Have you actually seen that with other witnesses explaining Bigfoot to be grayish and brownish and stuff?
Yeah, well, the grayish, I'm assuming would be an older one. Yeah, I've had people tell me that would be like what they seen was a darkish brownish red, but then it had a silver tint like on its back or something like that. So it could be, an older one.
Yeah,
that's what I would assume.
Yeah. What's really weird about this is the Bigfoot was out in the daylight when traffic was at its peak.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, why didn't someone stop, or someone, they had to see them. If that's, if the story's true, they had to see them. Why didn't anyone, stop or try to get a recording of it or something, get picture, anything in broad daylight?
Yeah, it makes you think, man, maybe this might be a lie.
Yeah, well, it might be, just a fabrication. Somebody wants some attention, but because I'm not saying that it's not possible that they're not out in daylight like that, because one of my sightings was in broad daylight. So, but I tried to find a place to get off so I could try to get a recording, but I couldn't. And that's why I'm saying with this, so it looks to me like someone, if the traffic was that much, someone would have had to have seen, besides whoever reported it, and would have at least try to get a picture or something.
Yeah, definitely makes you wonder, like, is this person lying or is they doing it for attention? I mean, they got interviewed by a Bigfoot researcher, so maybe they got the little attention that they wanted.
Right. Very well could be.
Yeah, man. There's definitely some stories like that. I mean, you're going to tell me you actually seen Bigfoot get in a UFO and go to Burger King with aliens?
Okay, yeah, really.
Yeah, man, there's definitely stories like that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Absolutely, man. And have you heard any stories that has made you be like, there's definitely no way that happened?
Yeah, over the years, I've had a few people, tell me. I just think that they, like you just said, that they was kind of wanting some attention and kind of, and them knowing the way I was really into it and believed in everything, they was maybe just trying to, I don't know, trying to tell me something that it maybe would impress me or something. I don't know. I don't, a lot of them I've had that in the past, that they just, no way that was believable.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But definitely feels good to be back and have Earl on with us as well again.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. This has been the Mysterious Appalachian Mountains with Seth and Earl. Y'all have a good night, and God bless.
It's now time for Believe It or Not with Justin and Goose.
Hello, I'm Justin, and some of the best things in life are not quite believable.
Jot 'em down, store. Love from Abner. I'm Goose, and welcome to Believe It or Not with Justin and Goose. How you doing today, Justin?
I'm doing good. Excited to be back in here and recording.
Oh yeah, me too. We've not had any email come in yet, but we have had a good response. I've had people tell me, through Facebook Messenger and stuff that they've really enjoyed this, and we're going to be starting this month putting them in the podcast episode as well. As a matter of fact, today is November the 7th, and the Here to Chew Bubblegum episode that drops at 4 will have. It was the episode we talked about IBM and the Nazis in it, and that will be on the radio show as well.
Awesome.
So we're getting those thrown in there, and I want to plug sometime. The record date is set. The drop date's not set, but we're going to have a very special, believe it or not, like full-length show, I guess, in the future with myself. You, of course, because this is your baby, this is your idea, Seth and Trevor Huff.
Well, I mean, if you live in Knott County and you've owned a radio at any point in time in your life, you know who Trevor Huff is. I give him credit all the time for being the guy that inspired me to want to play in a band. It wasn't what inspired me to want to play music, but he done a little show called Modern Rock Revival. And me and my buddy Eric went to it, and I thought that was the neatest thing ever to see people actually playing music locally.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to sit down and talk to Trevor.
Oh, yeah. Trevor's up on aliens and UFOs, and Trevor really gets into that. So today we're going to start out this one talking about the second coal boom. Have you read much about this?
I've glanced at stuff on and off. Being in this part of the country, you kind of can't avoid that topic, like it always perks my interest when I see anything involving either the history of coal or, the future of coal. My first book, I got a lot of flack over that from guys I worked with. Like, why'd you name your first book Coal Kingdom and not Gas Kingdom? You've never worked in coal in your life. I think, whether I worked in coal or not, it impacted my life. My uncles on my dad's side worked in coal. I believe my Uncle Don retired originally working for the coal company. My uncle on my mom's side, my Uncle Glenn, worked in the coal company. My Uncle Tyrone worked in coal all the way up until recently, and now he's had to find a different profession because there's really not a lot of work in it. And it's always been big impact on anybody in Eastern Kentucky. So anytime coal talk comes up, you're going to get interest.
Yes, you are. And I don't want to talk too much about it on this segment. I want to save that for when we do the full-length show. But basically what I've read, and this is even got mentioned a few weeks ago on Here to Chew Bubblegum, and I done a little diving, a little digging, a little research, and basically what they are predicting is how we will have our second coal boom is electric cars will be the cause of it, because there'll be a lot more electric cars on the road, and the current power right now that they have with what they're predicting the sale of electric cars will be and how many will be on the road, that cannot charge the electric cars. So they'll have to go back to resources and technology that does produce good power, and that is coal. And they're predicting a second coal boom in the next 3 to 5 years for our area.
I could see that. And another thing that's going to, help coal in that regard is going to be financial impact, because working in the gas industry, a lot of times you'll get projects, reroutes. You'll move a line, you'll move it for a coal company so that they can go in and mine an area. They pay the coal company to move it, or they may pay for an entire gas well. And the coal company may either buy the gas well or just basically pay the gas company what that well would bring in for an extended amount of time to just shut it in and not produce out of it. And that used to happen frequently. I've worked in gas in some way, shape, or form since 2005, and that used to be really commonplace. And then it got to where it become almost non-existent. And budgets got cut, and doing inspection, which is what I've done since 2012. I don't actually work for a gas company. I work for a third party. They bring me in, I inspect the job, make sure that the environmental is correct, that the safety is up to par, that the line's getting laid correctly, and the quality control on the line. And with budget cuts with gas companies, I've spent a lot of time doing other projects for gas companies and doing different jobs instead of doing that over the last couple of years, because they just don't have the money in their budgets for inspection. So they do a lot of stuff in-house, and to be honest with you, inspection gets skipped. And one of the few times that I get work is when a coal company comes in and says, okay, we want to reroute this line. Well, they have to pay for my services instead of the gas company. And I know that there's 2 or 3 projects that just popped up in the last couple of months that they're going to do in the next year, where coal companies are going to reroute lines and mine new areas. And that's a result of a couple of different things. But one thing, and what may be a contributing factor to another coal boom, is the price of gas is going up.
Oh, yes.
These companies are panicking to reroute gas and get the best price and stuff for it. I'm getting ready to finish a big project. I won't say for who, but we've been on that project almost 6 months, and the original tie-in date was no big deal for that line because you were just going to flow gas at the same money. Now that gas is up and different competitors are offering different prices for the gas, they're panicked out. They want this gas flowing. So with gas prices going up, you're definitely going to see maybe an inclination to move back to coal some.
Yeah. Well, and just in our area, there was an article out this week that there are going to be 4 mines in our area that's coming open.
Yeah, when coal kind of shut down around here, and I don't, anybody that listens to Talk Junkie, I avoid political at all costs, so I can do this without getting political. When coal jobs kind of started to decrease around here, there's a lot of finger pointing and stuff. And then when there was a small resurgence, I think 500 to 700 jobs come back, there was a lot of finger pointing here and there. Coal diminished in this area for a lot of reasons. One, how cheap natural gas was. It's not a better option, I guess, efficiency-wise to run these power plants, but it was a better option economically at that time. And then also the cost and expense of getting the coal that we had. Really, when we kind of suffered from that drought in coal a couple years ago and it really started to get bad, it wasn't that nobody was mining. They were mining a lot of places. They were mining in western Kentucky. They were mining in Illinois. They were mining in a lot of places where the coal may not be as good or may even be comparable to what we had, but it was much cheaper and easier to extract.
Right.
And so with market value going up, that'll make it easy for these coal operators to come back into a place that's as rich in coal as this and obtain the coal, even though it's more expensive. The market price will dictate that it's worthwhile for them to do it.
Right. And you may be listening to this and be thinking, let's believe it or not, why are you talking about coal? Well, I think it's fascinating that the electric car could be, tied in to our second coal boom. And, I just think that's would be really great for our area. For the families that live here, for the local businesses that live here, for your smaller cities that live here, they could provide better services to their citizens and visitors. And, it's just hard for me to believe that coal could be revised by the birth of the electric car, or flooding the market with electric cars, which I'm all for. I've talked to people before, and they're, people from this area. And I had a discussion with a guy, I won't say his name, this has been years ago, and he was against mountaintop removal and talking about how beautiful the mountains were and this and that, and nobody should do that. I said, well, let me ask you a question. I said, if you love where you come from and you love Eastern Kentucky so much, why have you moved off out west and you spent your entire life out west? He didn't have a comment for that at first. And then he thought about it and he said, well, there's not any good jobs. I said, there you go. I said, that's why I'm for it, because, and it's not like it was years ago when and the classic example from Knott County, you got the sportsplex where they took a mountaintop down. You can reuse that land and repurpose that land. And yeah, that might change the environment. And I don't know what your opinion is on all this, but, I don't think it's bad for our area.
Economically, it's definitely good. The problem, I think, is people want everything to be a black and white issue. They want everything to be a right and wrong issue. If I had my preference, we'd not touch another mountaintop. I like to hike. I like to be in the hills. I like the way my landscape looks where I'm at. On the other hand, I don't see anybody dropping their phones, dropping their electric cars, and going back to farming and living in a different manner. And if they're not going to do that, you're going to have to mind some. And I think, it's not, this shouldn't surprise people. Like, the articles have been out, the research has been out for a long time. And, it's what interested me when you brought this up for Believe It or Not. What a lot of scientists and a lot of professionals expect to be one of our biggest issues ecologically going forward, being the thing they think will be one of the biggest detriments to us ecology-wise and ecosystem-wise, is the electric car. The electric car will probably do more damage than it could ever repair. And that's not to say that I think you should give up on the ideal. You bring me a Tesla tomorrow, I'll take it all day long. And I think that eventually there'll be ways. But it's kind of the cost of progress. And it's an ugly thing to say, and it's kind of a negative thing to say. But you have to do things poorly sometimes for a long time before you had to figure out how to do them better. And mining's one of those situations where we did it poorly for a long time.
Yes,
and there was a lot of repercussions from it. And, I go to places like Virginia, and I have to look more at pipeline as an example. If I go to West Virginia or I go to Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio somewhat, I just don't have as much experience there. If my contractor disturbs something, it gets put back and it gets put back correctly. Whereas Kentucky has always been and still functions like the Wild West. They can come down here and tear up the world, and there's no repercussion for that. But with mining, I think that very much used to be the case here, and now you're starting to see, especially towards the end of that mining, a lot of people would say, well, the government's regulating us into going out of business. No, they're regulating you into doing it correctly. And they're going to overstep their bounds. They always do. But I think Kentucky mines in the last couple of years of their operation got really... They vastly improved in how they put back areas and how they reclaimed areas. You're never going to do it with no impact, but you can do it with less impact, and you can mine correctly, and it's not a bad thing, and it's also a perception thing. You take West Virginia, for instance. We just laid a gas line through an area that had an existing gas line, so we used an existing right-of-way. I'm sure we caused some disturbance. It was definitely minimal, but because there was an existing right-of-way there, I'll admit to that. But I looked around at logging operation that was right there and slated, as the guy explicitly told us, one of the best in the state. And it's a disaster. And I don't see that as much back home. So each state has their issues, and I think mining is so integral. You look at the loss of co-severance tax to Knott County, where we're from. It was detrimental.
Yes, it was.
And we've got the lowest property tax rates in the state of Kentucky. We have a lot of things going for us in Knott County, and losing that co-severance money, that regardless of if it was spent correctly at any time or incorrectly at any time, regardless of what portions of the state got it, because Rupp-Arena got a big portion of it.
Yes, they did.
A lot of people that weren't in this area benefited from it and don't realize it. They had good roads. They had a lot of construction projects. So I want to see Eastern Kentucky grow, and I do believe that the initial steps to that is through coal. I don't ever believe coal will be what it once was.
No.
I think it'll be a minimal growth, but I think if you take advantage of that minimal growth, and I hear a lot of talk, wind turbines have turned out to not be very effective and not work very well. And solar, it's kind of hard to tell. I have quite a bit of faith in solar being a possible outlet in the future just because of the amount of money China's putting into it. They're not putting that money into it because they're environmentalists. Not at all. They're putting that money into it because they see it's going to be advantageous for them somehow down the road.
Right.
We got a lot of flat, reclaimed mountain area in eastern Kentucky. It wouldn't be a bad idea for one of these coal companies come in and say, all right, I'm going to mine that area and that area and that area, but I own all these other areas that's already been reclaimed. Let me bring in some solar fields, bring in some jobs, some high-tech jobs, and mix the two, because we're more than 50 years away from solar being the only form of power. We're more than 50 years away from, any form of power outside of fossil fuel providing us the energy we need. So instead of ignoring those new ideals or focusing only on those new ideals, I think if you married the two together, then you could see more of a long-term coal boom in eastern Kentucky, something that if they worked in cooperation with other forms of, if you ran most of the coal operation, if it was just their offices and their small stuff off solar, that's a little bit of help, if they could generate enough to sell back to these power companies. So I know people want to look at it as all negative or all positive, and I can't find all the negative in it. I see sides of it I wish were different, but I think it could be a very big deal for eastern Kentucky.
I think it could definitely be a big deal, to have a second coal boom. Like I said, that would, and especially Knott County, you would have some coal severance money come back. You would have, some jobs come back. It would benefit people all the way around. Now, is it going to last forever? No, it's not. But it may be that little push to help get back on your feet where you can make preparations for something else, like you were talking about with the solar farm. Let me ask you a question before we wrap it up here. Is the Friends of Coal, is that still in corporation?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I know Friends of Coal is. Coal Mining for Our Future was the one I was thinking about.
I don't know.
Okay.
I've not heard anything from them in quite a while. I'll say this in regards to how touchy of a subject this may be. I had a work truck that had a Friends of Coal license plate on it, and I had to go to Lexington for something. I parked it at the mall. Yeah. And they keyed my truck. They keyed it bad. And I called the mall cops, and mall cops come down there, and I was like, hey, they've destroyed my truck. And I was like, I don't know if they've confused me for somebody else or what. The cop looked at the license plate, and he said, no, it's the license plate. He said they do it all the time. Yeah. And it's the Friends of Coal license plate they still have. And, the Friends of Coal company or the corporation is based in Lexington, and no miners benefit from that at all. That's more or less kind of like Goodwill. Exactly.
They've got that out there. And I don't support Friends of Coal, the organization. I support coal miners and, families of coal miners and stuff. So
that's what I found odd is here I bought this truck and it has this license plate on it. The registration's still good for a couple months. I didn't make any donation to this company.
Right.
But the people who are really benefiting from this company and the people who live in the area that represents this company, a company that does not represent where I'm from or coal whatsoever, takes out on me what an organization in their community was doing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that don't know that, and technically, if you were going to do that, those whoever came up with that to do that, because they used to have shirts and hats and all that stuff, they made some money off that, And I can't remember, years ago I did some research on that, and it was a guy that did own a coal company that created that incorporation. So, but you've been listening to Believe It or Not with Justin and Goose. Don't forget you can always email us, believe it or not, at heretotchewbubblegum.com. That's believe it or not, spelled KNOTT, at heretotchewbubblegum.com.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to Here to Chew Bubblegum with Goose and Dirtydan, with special guest Seth Emberkey of Seth's Daily Freaking Podcast.
Dirtydan, tell us about some Russian satellites.
Well, I'm just going to tell you about one.
Okay, tell us about one.
Russia blew their own satellite up, and here's why that spells trouble for spaceflight. Early on November 15th, astronauts aboard the International Space Station received an unexpected directive: seek shelter in your docked spacecraft in case of a catastrophic collision. That's right, folks. The station was about to pass through a freshly created cloud of orbital debris and dust that posed a severe and significant risk to the 7 space travelers on board. Sorry for the early call. The transmission from the ground control to the ISS in the morning of November 15th began. But we were recently informed of a satellite breakup, and we need to have you guys start reviewing the safe haven procedures immediately. That meant the crew of the ISS, a joint venture between America, Canada, and the European Space Agency, Japan and Russia, had to seal off some of the modules in which they live and work and retreat to the 2 space capsules that were currently moored at its airlocks. The Soviet air spy satellite Cosmos 1408 was in an orbit 100 kilometers or so above and at an angle to that of the ISS. A few hours earlier, when it had been blown to smithereens, in a Russian anti-satellite missile test, which turned the 2-ton Hulk into some 1,500 pieces of debris large enough for American radars to track, meaning a few centimeters or greater across.
This is out of the Appalachian UFO Research Society. It was headed by Junebug from End Our Places. And this is out of Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania, and this was June the 26th of 2021. While standing outside at night before midnight, I looked up and saw what I assumed was an airplane very high up. I continued to watch because for as far away as the plane appeared to be, it was moving very fast. Before I knew it, the object did a complete 360 and continued in the direction it came from. When the object was almost directly overhead, it made a complete stop and stayed in that position before either going further into space or disengaged its lights, and it made no sound, no activity followed.
See, all around, strange objects being seen all around. And one of the greatest UFO crashes after Roswell was in PA. And it was a small town. I think it might have been 53 or 56.
In Schwanksville?
Yes.
Yeah. I used to live 10 minutes from there.
Okay. So you've heard that story and you've heard that legend.
Yeah.
Well, what's your take on that?
This will come to light hopefully in the new year, but a similar incident as Paintsville.
Well, we're going to close it out. Seth, thank you very much for being here. Dirtydan, tell us about Carbon Capture Shield, please.
I would love to. So Carbon Capture Shield is a company that was founded by our very own special and beloved guest, DJ Nikki. And Carbon Capture Shield is intending to transform 1 billion acres of Earth into regenerative land that restores the health of our natural environment, starting in your own backyard. By restoring the biological life in the soil, we jumpstart the natural processes, which sequester greenhouse gases, break down multiple pollutants, all while feeding and protecting your lawn from the below. Go ahead over to lawn.carboncaptureshield.com. Reserve your VIP spot. It is a fertilizer-like product that is all natural, organic, and rejuvenating to your lawn. Nothing foreign, no chemicals, nothing harmful, not like the stuff you buy for oogles amounts of money from your shelves of Walmart and Lowe's and Home Depot. Head over on and get your VIP spot. It just costs you $1. It'll save you a bunch of money so that you can start helping to save your planet. And we'd also like to mention our friends over at Till Valhalla Project. Check out their website, tillvalhallaproject.com. You can buy merch, you can donate, just spread the word, spread that awareness. And then don't forget our boys over at Adventures with Purpose. Check them out on YouTube by typing in Adventures with Purpose, going over their website, adventureswithpurpose.com.
I want to say special thanks to Carlin for all the voiceover work, and be sure to check out and support our friends with their own shows. I'm talking about CK and Uncle Bill over at deadpet.com, Talk Junkie with Justin Perkins, Jordan Brad of Down the Holler, Seth Emberkey with Seth's Daily Podcast, Elliot Gertie and Beagle of the Spooky Family Podcast, the Mountain Mysteries Podcast with Chris Sloan, and Cronkite, Snowman, and Large Marge over at Paranormal Trucker. If you want to awaken more, be sure to check out Rebecca Short on TikTok and on Twitch, where she's now known as Queen of the Flock 138 on Twitch. Don't forget Cooking with Dirtydan. Be sure to check that out on his TikTok page. And that's Dirtydan 974. That'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
Maybe I'm not leaving. Maybe I'm just going home.
Thanks for listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Tune in next time as we dive deeper into things the government doesn't want us to know. You can always call, text, or leave a voicemail for Here to Chew Bubblegum at 606-373-3396.